Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. The Packers mandatory minicamp, day 2, and the final day was today. I just put out a video going over all the highlights from today's practice, so if you haven't seen that already, just go simply click the link right above to get to that video. But in today's video, we're going to go over the main takeaways from today's practice during the team sessions, because you're not allowed to record the team sessions. Now, just like yesterday, it was only a 7v7 portions, but there still are some takeaways, but generally, it was a pretty light practice, not keeping it too heavy as we are just around 40 days until the official start of Packers training camp, which starts on July 26th. So we're going to have a decent gap here where there's not much Green Bay Packers going on. Yeah, they might make some roster moves, but there's going to be no practice for, I think it is 42 days. But once training camp starts, it's all gas, no breaks. Super excited for training camp. It's one of my favorite parts of the year, especially in the offseason. And with the turnaround of this team, going to Jordan Love and all of that, just super excited for that. It was a perfect attendance at practice today. Even John Garvin decided to show up, and this is the first time we've seen him practice all offseason. I don't see him making the 53-man roster. I also don't know the reasons why he didn't show up to OTAs and why he wasn't at practice yesterday. But if he wants to make this roster, the guy is going to have to come to practice. Obviously, a lot could change, and he could ball out in training camp. But in my eyes, I have guys like Brenton Cox Jr. over him at this point. As for the players not practicing, it is the same as yesterday. Dallin Levitt, Eric Stokes, Tarvarius Moore, Rashawn Gary, Jake Hansen, Tyler Davis, Grant DeBose, and Chris Slayton. As for the starting offense today, I'm pretty sure it's the same thing except for one position. Jordan Love at quarterback, Aaron Jones / A.J. Dillon at running back, Luke Musgrave at tight end. This is the second day in the row he got the start at tight end. He's been very impressive throughout OTAs and minicamp. Dobbs and Watson at receiver, nothing changed there. As for the offensive line, David Bakhtiari at left tackle, Elton Jenkins at left guard, Josh Myers at center, John Runyon Jr. at right guard, and Yosh Nijman at right tackle. They've really been swapping Nijman and Tomlin at that right tackle spot. That is one of the biggest competitions right now on the Packers offense going through this offseason. But when Tom's not starting at right tackle, he's been getting snaps at right guard. But today, he also got some snaps at center with the second team. As for the starters on defense, it is the exact same as yesterday out of a nickel look. Clark and Slayton at defensive tackle, Hollins and Preston at edge. So Hollins second day in a row getting a start there. Devondre Campbell and Quay Walker at inside linebacker. Jair, Douglas, and Nixon at corner. Ford and Savage at safety. Now, interestingly enough, the next sub on defense during these team portions was Devontae Wyatt. I had a few comments asking about him yesterday, so he is definitely getting snaps with the first team defense. But interestingly enough, when Wyatt came in, the player to come out was Devondre Campbell. So they were still kind of in that nickel look, but they kept just Quay Walker as that sole inside linebacker. I don't know if that's for certain reasons or just simply trying to get a younger guy more snaps in that look, but that was going to, a 3 defensive lineman look, but still staying nickel with Keyshawn Nixon in the slot, which is pretty cool. As for the takeaways on offense, again, it was 7v7s. Matt LaFleur said he didn't want to do 11v11s just in case. He doesn't want anyone to go too hard and get hurt just 42 days before training camp. But the main takeaways today, Luke Musgrave continues to show out. He had a nice gain on Devondre Campbell. I'm just super excited for Musgrave and the mismatches he may create for this Packers offense. They haven't had a guy like that in a very, very long time. Malik Heath also continues his hot streak. He had another catch today, a nice catch on Rasul Douglas. I feel like every day of practice so far throughout OTAs that have been open to the media and now the 2 days of training camp, he's made at least one play. So I'm interested to see if that transfers into training camp when the pads come on into preseason, because he very well could steal a wide receiver spot at the 6th spot, and at very least be one of our practice squad wide receivers. In one of the plays, Love missed Samori Toure, bad throw by him, but then the very next play, he came right back to Toure and hit him deep over the middle for a nice pickup. Toure's been making a few good plays throughout this offseason so far. Now, Jordan Love's 2-minute drill did end with a very poor interception. Jair Alexander got the best of him. I think it was a post corner on the left side to Christian Watson, but it was severely underthrown. A very easy interception to Jair. Jair took practice very seriously today. He was batting down balls that were being thrown by trainers and everything of that sort. I love the energy by Jair Alexander. I'd like to see Jordan Love get a little bit more on page with Christian Watson. He's been really on page with Romeo Doubs thus far this offseason, and we need him to get on page with Christian Watson. But also, like I said, love the energy from Jair. Clifford's 2-minute drill also ended with an interception. It was after a tip drill, got tipped around a few times, and Ennis Gaines came up with the interception. The offense went 0 for 3 today during the 2-minute drill. Danny Etling also didn't score a touchdown. He overthrew a receiver in the back of the end zone wide open. So the offense went 0 for 3. So I guess more of a defensive day, but overall is a pretty light practice. As for the defensive takeaways here, Alexander had a nice pass breakup on Dobbs, just continuing that awesome matchup so far. It's been an awesome matchup. I know it's only happened yesterday and today, but it seems like that's kind of the matchup to look for, wide receiver versus cornerback this offseason. It's going to be Dobbs versus Alexander. And like I said, that's awesome for Dobbs because to be able to go against one of the best corners in the NFL and really train yourself, if you're able to beat him, you can probably beat most cornerbacks in the NFL. One defensive line configuration during today's practice was Devontae Wyatt, TJ Slayton, and Colby Wooden, their 4th-round selection out of Auburn, and that was while Kenny Clark was getting a breather. And then also Jonathan Owens was the 3rd safety to come in after Ford and Savage, with Tavarius Moore still out. As for the special teams, yesterday we saw Nixon and Reed swapping at kick return, the same today, but at punt return. So it looks like Nixon's going to be our kick return, and Jaden Reed likely will be our punt return, and I'm really happy about that. We all know what we have in Nixon. And then Jaden Reed, I thought, was an excellent, returner in college at Michigan State. So if the Packers get, a good returner at punt as well, they could really, really turn that special teams around. They already started to at kick, obviously, with Nixon last year. And then also Anders Carlson had a perfect day today, and they were outside. Yesterday, they were in the Don Hudson Center. Today, they were outside. He made field goals from 37, 39, 40, and 42, as well as making both of his extra points. And he's actually been 11 for 12 on field goals the past 2 days in minicamp, including a long of 54 in the Don Hudson yesterday. As I said, it was a pretty short and light practice today. Nothing too crazy happened. It was very similar to yesterday, and as I mentioned, Matt LaFleur wanted to keep it like that because he doesn't want anyone getting injured with just 40 days until training camp, and obviously a lot will ramp up during training camp. I believe the first week is unpadded, but the second week we're going straight into pads, and I'm so excited about that. Leave me down in the comments below what player you are excited about the most this come training camp. I know obviously an answer is Jordan Love, but say if it's not Jordan Love, who's the second most player you're excited for training camp? But that about does it for this video. I appreciate everyone watching. Like I said, there's not going to be crazy much going on with Green Bay Packers until training camp, but there'll still be a bunch of content right here on this channel going over many different things. So if that does interest you, go down, click subscribe, and then also leave a like on the video. But that about does it for this one. I appreciate everyone watching. Catch you on the next one, and as always, go Pack Go.